One of my favorite Lexus vehicles of all time was the GS. It was canceled in 2020. And at the time, I had a bad feeling in my stomach that it was going to affect many more Japanese vehicles, especially ones that have been around for a long time. And the following year, we had another legend die, literally the Acura RLX. It's called the Honda Legend overseas. It used to be called the Acura Legend here. I don't want to get into that. Maybe Acura can bring it back in the future. In 2022, Acura killed the ILX in favor of the Integra. The Honda Insight was killed. Acura NSX, rest in peace until we get a fully electric one. And one of my favorites, the Avalon from Toyota, was axed as well. I had a second gen Avalon. Rest in peace, homie. 2023, another legendary Japanese vehicle, the Maxima, was killed off. Now, in 2024, history is continuing. Toyota Venza. Well, you can say it's not a sedan, and I didn't say it had anything to do with sedans to start this, but the Venza is getting discontinued in favor of the new Crown Signia. Wait for my driving impressions on June 6th on that new Crown that's coming to the United States. So rest in peace, Venza. It's the second time it's been canceled in the United States, but it will live on as the Harrier in Japan and other markets, and it's a fantastic vehicle. But the Subaru Legacy, been around since 1989, just like myself, also got canceled this year. Unlike myself, well, fingers crossed, let's keep it going. Let's not get canceled this year. But the Subaru Legacy, that one is a tough pill to swallow. Do we have more vehicles from Japan, or at least from Japanese automakers, that are on the death list? Today, we're going to get into it. The best way to tell if vehicles are slated for a grim future is to look at where they currently are now. Where are their sales? And we're going to start with Toyota here, and we're going to start with their cars and see if there's anything sticking out. The Toyota Supra down 44% on the year as of the first quarter. I don't know what the future of the Supra is. Reports out of Japan saying it could go fully electric. It could be a hybrid version of what we have right now. Honestly, the future of the Supra is not looking that great, at least in its current shape and form. There's also remarks and rumors coming out of Japan saying that we'll get a GRMN Supra with over 500 horsepower before this generation is discontinued. But I hope Toyota keeps the Supra around. Sales are not good on it, and that's not really where the market is anymore on high-performance coupes, even though, I mean, it's like the enthusiast end of the market's dying, and that's also killing sedans and coupes. And oh man, gosh, I don't want to get into too many coupes right now, but GR86, this thing's not going anywhere until they come out with a new generation, and a new generation has already been planned in theory. That Toyota might be scrapping Subaru for the next gen GR86. Also, watch my video about the SFR, the small front engine rear wheel drive coupe that could be coming out from Toyota and Daihatsu and Suzuki, all sharing the same vehicle, just different flavors of it. It could be coming for the United States market. Watch my video on that. The Mirai. It's Toyota's little experiment hydrogen car. It's beautiful in its second generation. I don't know. I feel like they'll just keep it around because Toyota's just kept, or should I say, doubled down on their hydrogen investment in California this past week. But with the sales of the Mirai and the availability of hydrogen in parts of the world, don't be surprised if the Mirai gets discontinued. What about the Crown sedan? Well, it's called the Crown Crossover in Japan. It's called the sedan here. Because it has a trunk, not a lift gate. Anyways, sales are up on it, but that's a bit misleading since volume wasn't entirely available at the beginning of 2023. So I don't think the Crown's going anywhere anytime soon, but I don't think it's long for this world. It could have a expiration date in the next 4 years or something like that. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the Crown. Prius isn't going anywhere. Camry is one of the best in the world. It's not going anywhere. Lexus IS, sales are down on the year. It's up on the month. IS isn't going anywhere. Lexus RC, this is 100% going to be canceled. And it is, the sales are surprisingly up on it, but they've fallen so far that it's essentially meaningless. They're selling more Supras than they are Lexus RCs. So, the writing's on the wall for the RC. It has maybe a year or two left. Lexus LS, There's rumors that the LS could be discontinued. I wouldn't be surprised. They killed the Acura Legend or the Honda Legend or the RLX, whatever you want to call it. The vehicles that started these companies, Lexus with the LS and launched with the LS and ES. ES is not going anywhere, but the LS, who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if it gets discontinued. LC is 100% going to be discontinued. It's already been chopped off in Western Europe. It's no longer on sale there, as well as the RC from my remembering. So LC, RC, rest in peace. It's only a matter of time before those amazing coupes. Well, RC is not that amazing. The RCF is pretty good, but the LC is absolutely Lexus' best vehicle, one of their best of all time. That's almost destined for the gutter. Our BZ4X is probably destined for the gutter after they come out with their next generation BEVs. RAV4, Corolla Cross, Venza, rest in peace, Highlander. So the Highlander could be going the way of the dinosaurs as well. And there are rumors talking about how the Highlander with the gasoline engine could have a very limited time span, and it could be replaced with a fully electric Highlander coming out of either the plant in Kentucky or the plant in Indiana. So yeah, with its sales down this much, it's because of the Grand Highlander making up for those loss of sales on the main Highlander. But the Grand Highlander is a better vehicle for today's market, in my opinion. The Highlander being pretty niched out at this point, but we'll see what they do with it. 4Runner and Sequoia obviously are not going anywhere. Sienna not going anywhere. Let's get into Lexus because Toyota's trucks aren't going anywhere either. The UX. Would not be surprised if the UX gets discontinued for something a little bit more practical and roomy. It's too bad we don't get the LBX here in the United States. It's not that much smaller than the UX, and it seems like a better vehicle overall. NX is fine. RZ is probably not long for this world either. It's kind of like the ZDX that I just drove from Acura. It is the first electric vehicle of that respective brand, and it probably will be replaced with a future next generation EV before we know it in the next few years. RX, TX, GX, LX, those are not going anywhere. So what saddens me the most here on this list with potential departures, definitely the LS and the LC, and not the Highlander. It could be an EV, but that's about it. Yeah, the Venza going is a tough one as well. So, all right, let's get into Honda. Honda, like I said, canceled the Legend / Acura RLX, canceled the Insight. Well, they have the Civic Hybrid coming out soon. Canceled ILX in favor of the Integra, and they canceled the legendary NSX. Okay. So what could be next for Honda here on the chopping block? The Accord, well, the sales are down. It's not going anywhere, but it's going to have a tough battle ahead of it with the new Camry. I made a dedicated video about that. Go and check it out. CRV, HRV, Odyssey, Passport, Pilot, Prologue, Ridgeline. Other than the Prologue eventually getting discontinued because it's just a first EV and it's made by General Motors, that is definitely on the chopping block in the next five years, I would say. But the rest of those vehicles I just mentioned, they are not going anywhere. Acura, though, I'm getting worried for Acura as a brand. I could have made a dedicated video about this, but the Integra sales are down 30% on the month of April, down 20% on the year. The TLX's sales are down 40% on the year and 63% on the month. And I know they have a refresh. Maybe production had to get crimped down as they got ready for the refresh production to start ramping up. I don't know. It doesn't look good, though, for the TLX. I will be driving the MDX at the end, the refreshed MDX at the end of June. So stay tuned for that. But RDX, MDX not going anywhere. The ADX is coming in by the end of the year, at least being announced. But the TLX here, guys, I don't see them canceling it, but its sales are so bad that it could happen. The TLX needs to be a little bit bigger. They just, it's big on the outside, tiny on the inside. It's not packaged well. And man, I like the TLX, but it's not selling well. Let's move to Mazda. Could anything from Mazda be canceled? Well, we had the CX-9 be canceled last year in favor of the CX-90, so it's just a one-for-one trade. Sales of the Mazda 3 hatchback are down, at least for the month of April. Could they? I mean, they're still up in the year. I don't see Mazda killing the 3. It's such a successful global model. MX-5 isn't going anywhere. That's the heartbeat of the brand. CX-5 isn't going anywhere. CX-30 is picking up sales. CX-50 just started production. MX-30, rest in peace, said things dead. Yeah, they discontinued that a long time ago in the United States. It lives on as a rotary range extender in other countries, CX-90 and CX-70. We'll be driving the CX-70 here in just a couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that. So I don't think any of Mazda's vehicles are actually slated for the chopping block, but Subaru, on the other hand, oh my gosh, they just need a new Ascent. I don't think the Ascent will get discontinued. I think having a 3-row in their lineup is fine, but it's just not very competitive. They need to get rid of the CVT in such a large vehicle, or just go fully hybrid in it using Toyota's hybrid technology. Maybe that's what they will do. A turbo hybrid of some sort. BRZ, again, it's the same situation I just talked about the GR86, so I'm not going to talk about that, but it could get discontinued, or they could, I mean, since Toyota seemingly is taking over the entire production and development of the BRZ86, it could just be a straight rebadge of the GR86. All right, anyways, Crosstrek isn't going anywhere, Forester nowhere, Impreza. Impreza could be headed to the chopping blocks, my friends, as well as the WRX, at least for North America. I don't want it, but people just like, look at the Crosstrek sales. 12,000 compared to 2,000 for the Impreza. And the WRX, it's very niche-y. I don't want the WRX to go anywhere. I think they could honestly kill the Impreza and just keep the WRX around. What do you guys think about that? Legacy, rest in peace. It's 2025 model year. It's the last model year. Solterra, again, is going to be discontinued like the BZ4X before we know it, at least in its first generation. Maybe they keep the naming around for a second generation, but the BZ4X, I think, is probably done. Outback, not going anywhere. Bestseller, one of their best sellers. So rest in peace. I mean, rest in peace, Impreza, at least here in the United States. I feel like its writing is on the wall. And WRX is up in the air as well. We're going to head to Nissan. And Nissan is a strange nut to crack here. Versa's not going anywhere. They need cheap cars. Sentra's not going anywhere. They need cheap cars. Altima could be discontinued. And the fact is, it was almost guaranteed discontinued by 2025. Isn't that crazy? It's such a high volume seller for them. They're going to discontinue in favor of a battery electric vehicle. But BEVs right now are not hot in the current market. So people need affordable cars. I don't see the Altima actually going anywhere. Maxima, rest in peace. Leaf is going to be discontinued. Juke, rest in peace, at least for our market. Z sales are up on the year, up 44%, it looks like. I don't see the Z going anywhere anytime soon, but it's on an old platform, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is the last internal combustion Z that we see. Nissan GTR, like the Acura NSX, Honda NSX, what's going to happen to it? It's only a matter of time before the GTR gets discontinued. Nissan hasn't said, but other reports are saying this is the last model year. 2025 is the last model year of the GTR. So that's also another really tough pill to swallow, as I finally reviewed the Godzilla this past year, and I just had an amazing attachment to that vehicle, even though it needed new tires. So anyways, Nissan Kicks just got a redesigned. Frontier, love that truck. Titan, rest in peace. Xterra, this is one of the vehicles that absolutely needs to be resurrected. Nissan just choking on their poor decisions. Pathfinder not going anywhere. Armada, it's getting a redesign this year. Rogue isn't going anywhere, but it kind of is, because everyone's saying that the Rogue production is leaving the United States, going back to Japan, and should be imported back into the United States because it's just too costly to pay workers and pay for parts here in the United States compared to Japan. Aria is probably a one and done after it runs its product cycle. Murano, for some reason, is getting a redesign, and it will have a hybrid. In theory, it's the first hybrid for Nissan here in the United States. Could be out by the end of next year or the year after. Who knows? No one cares about the Murano. It should be discontinued, and they should just be hybridizing the Rogue, but what do I know? Yeah, so let's head into Infiniti. Q50 is dead. Not officially, but by the time they start making battery electrics, it is going to be discontinued with the gas model. They could just keep the Q50 naming around. Q60, I don't know how this thing is still in production. at least for the United States market. It's the Skyline Coupe over in Japan. It's down 90% on the year, so I don't know why they are still selling it. Q70, rest in peace. QX30, rest in peace. QX50, not going anywhere. QX55, wouldn't be surprised if they cancel that after its first product cycle. QX60 ain't going anywhere. QX70, rest in peace. There is talks of a QX65 coming as a coupe crossover, but we'll see. Infiniti QX80. Getting a redesign. That's the big splash for Infiniti this year. I think I've covered all the Japanese companies. Just kidding. Mitsubishi is still on sale here in the United States. And their whole lineup, the Mirage is dead. Forgot to mention that at the beginning. That's how forgettable Mitsubishi is. And I cover mainly Japanese, Asian, Korean cars. I cover mainly those brands, and I totally forgot about Mitsubishi at the beginning of this video. They're the most forgettable brand probably in America from Asia. Anyways, the Mirage, rest in peace. Outlander Sport, we need a redesign on it, and it's just nowhere to be seen. Outlander and Outlander plug-in hybrid, those are the only ones that are worth probably keeping around. The rest of it's essentially a one-car lineup at this point. Outlander Sport's just a super cheap car you can get in and probably for a super cheap lease. But the Outlander and Outlander plug-in hybrid are pretty decent vehicles, especially the plug-in hybrid here if you can get a killer deal on it. Eclipse Cross, we don't get the plug-in hybrid here in the United States, and it being on sale here is a mockery of the true Eclipse. Rest in peace, Eclipse Cross. I don't care to see another generation. Mirage is a little bit sad because it's so cute and affordable, but it's kind of a death trap. And the Outlander Sport, where's the redesign on it? So anyways, that sums up all the Japanese brands in America that I fear are going to be losing some models in the next few years based off of the recent history of the discontinuation, going back to the GS all the way up to the Mirage and the Legacy this year. So thank you guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Let me know which vehicle down below you are the most sad about potentially leaving the market, but I think there's a good chance of all the vehicles I mentioned today. There's a good chance of a handful or more being discontinued in the next couple of years or so. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.